2 drills, right? You get to go for 1.5 minutes, and these are the drills. The guy's in turtle, right? One time you're going to catch his elbow. So he's like this. You're here. You stick your hand in and you feed your hand to the other side. Potentially it happens a lot more from here. Go to side control, right? You're here trying to hold and maintain a position. The guy's coming up the turtle, so you realize, so you snake your hand in. And you're thinking maybe you can get through here. Maybe you can hold him and he comes up on you. So that's what it really happens from, okay? So you're just going to grab on. You're going to be on that far side elbow. You're going to reach with your secondary hand and grab onto this elbow. You're going to drop your shoulder lower than this lat. Don't let me see you above. You want to almost be pushing the weight that way as you pull this elbow through. As he lands, okay, have some vision to step this leg over to the other side so you take his hand. It's not a big deal if he comes back up because you have the elbow again. So when I landed here, I laced the secondary hand. My shoulder line, my clavicle is right at his lat muscle. So as I'm pushing with my hand, pushing with my legs, as he's landing, I'm taking a big step on the back side. So now I release my hand, lock up my Kimura and come up. Come back again. The other day we worked it the other way, okay? So you are here. You're back on the back side. I've caught his ankle. I reach for his far side thigh. I make any position on the far side. Sometimes you can grab the kneecap, sometimes you can't. If you potentially have this kneecap up so high up, I may need to drop, and this is more for the advanced player. I don't want to go too crazy with this. I may need to spin myself this way because then the angle for him to knock over is this way. I can't take him that way because this is out here. The cantilever is too far out, so I'm not going to be able to take him that way. So I may have to alter the angle and then I bring him over, but then my sequences are different after that. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple and ask this person to bottle up a little bit. Where here, I reach for the far side. I take command of this far side thigh. As I'm dropping, I'm inserting deep. I'm lacing my hand through, catching his elbow, and doing the same positional turn again. I base on this side, I come over the top, I lace through, and I catch my Kimura. You have 2 that you're doing, okay? I'll keep it short, about 1:15, 1:20. Then I'll call up, down, we'll flip it again. Let's do it. Him over. You were like this, you knocked him over. Let me turn it this way. Go on that side. Yeah, come up for turtle. I'm like this, right? I knocked him over. And now I'm driving this way. And I'm here, coming here. I've made some contact on here. And I've driven him this way. My first reaction is to bring this kneecap as deep in that pocket as possible. Okay? So my first reaction, just stay here. My first reaction when he first fell was do this. Is drive this in as deep as possible. Okay? I want to release this kneecap. I cannot release this kneecap. And I see some people going like this. They're here taking this leg out already. He recovered already. He recovered already. You left, no, you didn't replace that barrier. He recovered already, period. Okay? He's here. He landed. I punched his pocket. Now I can start releasing this kneecap. I do not release a wedge point unless there's a replacement in its place before I release. If you release before, you will have limited success and you will have no success at the highest level. I don't care what you tell me about your success in here. Most of the people in here have kids, wife, mortgages, car payments. This is a hobby, okay? So try to shoot. I always like this line that I heard one time. I'd rather you aim high and miss than aim low and hit. Because I think it says something about yourself, about that person, okay? So I hit this wedge point. My hand releases. I hit this wedge point. Now I have this barrier in front of these 2 thighs. Now as I start taking this leg out, this hand that's here is almost going into a cradle position. Like if there was a ball here, that this hand's going, and I'm dropping this cradle because I want to look at you. Because I want to know if I can have this neck, if I can grab this elbow, if I can lace a darce, or do I have to spin to the back side? Can I catch this elbow into a mount? I want to look at you. I want to see which limb am I taking next, or do I have to just abandon the position to spin around the back, or just go into a knee pin? I don't know. I'm looking this way. How am I supposed? I only feel one thing over here. I don't know what's going on over here. I'm trying to get a sense of how he's pushing me so I know what the exposures are up here. So when I landed like this, I took this hand, and now my hand's in here, and now you'll see me scrape in here. And now I'm looking at you like this, but I'm pushing into this hip because I don't want you coming up. And if potentially you did, I already have a safety on this knee to spin this. My ears are going to drop here. So I'm perfectly set. If Ethan dropped, I'm just spinning out now, catching up here on a spin. So it's not the end of the world, but I didn't want that to happen. I never want, every time you turn, I have more challenges to get you again. And now you have shoulder rolls and sit backs and Granby rolls, and maybe you might stand up on me and I can't snap you down, and I'm doing all these things and you're hitting duck unders. I got a lot more things to attack now. So when you drop this, make that deep cradle, okay? We're on the second round. Try to play the game detailed. I will add one thing for the more advanced player. When you're here, come back up. Jason asked me earlier, he said, sometimes you're doing this and you're trying to drive him back and he's putting his hand out. He's got his leg like this and you're going, damn, can't get this guy over. Instead of this hand, right, reaching for this thigh, this hand is going to reach for that ankle. So I'm like this, and now I start pulling this ankle in, and now I have a double grip on this ankle. So I'm only going to do is I'm going to spin my rotation this way in a counterclock. So as I start turning him, I'm like this, right? I still did the same thing. I drove my kneecap into that pocket. I replaced this wedge. Now I can release that kneecap. I don't care what's happening up on top. I can release the kneecap. Now I replace this kneecap again. Release my hand and come back up, okay? So you can vary it now, right? Forget about the one with the double grip, okay? I'm only gonna ask you to focus on one, the one down there. It's more realistic. That one is more from when the guy turns. That one is very popular with gi because you can grab any fabric. And no gi, it's hard to reach. So realistically, it happens from a side control position that the man is coming up and I'm trying to grab up and I had this elbow. So that's how that happens. But from a turtle position, he's got to be a real beginner. He's got to be like this, just bottled up. That's not realistic. This is an advanced class. Okay, so, sorry. So you just saw what I did. I grabbed onto this ankle, so I couldn't bring him over. He was so big. I go and re-grip, spin this a lot of way, right? So my hand was here. All I did was cup this back ankle. Now I start spinning him in a counterclockwise rotation. So as I'm turning, I'm driving this kneecap in, right? So now I'm a deep insertion. This far side hand that's here is going to punch this pocket. I'm pushing into him with my shoulder. I don't want him turning. So my legs and my hips are off the ground, pushing in. Now I can replace this kneecap. Now I can turn to face you, and whether grip, mount, I don't care. You can go any different ways you want. Let's partner up. We're in the second half of one. Oh, there he goes. One small correction. Do not bring your head up. I don't care which move you do. Learn to fight low and tight. Go down your side. Right? You drove this kneecap in, I'm like this, and I see people putting their hand over and going like this. He's left you. He left you. You're too late. You just brought this elbow up, and he spins, and you lost this elbow, and he's in his rotation, and now you're high up, and there's so many things I don't want to go through that you'll never catch a high-level player. You're going to be too slow on the transitions. And then, you know, there is a strength disparity normally, not all the time, between females and males, right? A female, right, or a smaller person has to do all these things because this guy is so strong that he will bust out everything on you. And you're chasing this man and chasing him and wearing him out. And the essence of how Hoist beat these bigger men is by wearing them out. And you gotta play the game a certain way. You gotta play it tight and low. And you're like this, and you're spinning around like this and going, like what? And now Ethan comes up to turtle, and look at the position. I am off everywhere. I am off everywhere. And like, I mean, literally probably to grab my legs and pick me up, or just knock me down, or potentially just sit back on me, and there's a recovered guard. And you're gonna tell me that you almost had him? You didn't have anybody. You know, hopefully I'm eating acai, my mouth is full, so I don't have to tell you the truth, right? So, right, sorry. Whatever, I'm 53. I get to say these things now. That's the truth, though. I just want to keep putting food in my mouth, so I'll tell you the truth. So go back a second. When you drove that kneecap in, you play that game low and tight. You drove this kneecap in, and I'm like this, and I'm coming around the circle. I'm like this. Because if he comes up now, I'm ready to spin, and I'm nice and tight and low. Ethan keeps going to turtle. Like this. My head's mirrored on your backside. I got my first hook in there. My first hook's in already, and now I'm coming up for the top hook, and now I'm on your neck. Right? Or potentially I'm hitting you, or I got my wedge, I'm using my head as a wedge point on your shoulder line. I'm using my head as a wedge point. Potentially I'm gonna use my chin to grab your floating ribs so you don't turn, but I'm using everything, right? I'm playing low and tight, right? So when you turn it over the top, I'm gonna ask you to do the same thing, but play it low and tight. You're not gonna do the sequences I did, but you're gonna drop, and you're gonna come around, and your head's mirrored at this height. right? Imagine this being barbed wire, and if you go up, you get cut, right? I'm like this. I'm coming over the top. I'm like this, playing this tight. Open this pocket up. I've made my grip. I'm here tight. I'm potentially opening this up, potentially opening this up, taking this back. Like a lot of things I could do, right? You can play it any way you want. If you got a good partner, you're an advanced player. If not, let's play it low and tight, okay? No heads up in the air. We're not here to admire our work because there's nothing to admire. Nothing. Nothing's been painted on the canvas. You have nothing, okay? So play the game low and tight, low and tight. Let's partner to now, okay? So I know you're tired. You're no speed, about detail right now, right? You knocked him over. Go on your side for a second. We're going to play it right from here. So we're going to take that part out down there. We're going to play it right from here. The moment, right, you come over this top and you're going like this, the moment this hand comes through, I want you to now pretend, so the bottom player, the moment this hand touches his belly line, this person should start coming to turtle. You should drop, okay? You're gonna look just like this. We're gonna go super slow, nothing fast. So I'll do it again, right? You were here, right? We're gonna go super slow, right? I'm gonna actually tell him, and you can tell your partner. So we're gonna finish off the class in almost a slow motion setting, but very detailed, okay? You're here like this, you've stepped over, your hand's coming through to see if you can get this Kimura. So the moment I'm here, your guy's gonna start turning. I'm like this, coming up, okay? I'm lacing my hand through and he comes to turtle. So I've locked my hands up here, just like this, right? And all I gotta do is either take his back or break him down to side control. So I'm gonna ask you to do a couple of things at this point. Just see how my legs were, right? I never did anything other than spin off this kneecap. That's all I did. If you remember, go on your side for a second. This kneecap was here, right? This kneecap was here. I'll stay up for a second. I've touched the belly line. I'm coming through and I'm missing the drop. So all I did was this. That's all I did, okay? I didn't go any other way. I didn't put my hand back here. My feet are pretty much lined up in a straight line. I'm pushing into him, and now I'm lacing my hand through to see if I can grab onto my hands. All I'm trying to do is pair my hands together. So as he's coming up, I paired my hands together, and now taking command of my hands, okay? I'm now going to try to dominate his skull line and break him down again, right? I was too late going down there to the back quadrant, but I paired my hands up together. So now I'm gonna start rotating and driving my shoulder line and my bicep and the front of my deltoid into the back of his neckline. So as I'm driving and driving, what I'm trying to do is break him back down. I potentially will land like this. I potentially come back up for a second. Right, let me do it the right way. So potentially I may bring him all the way over and I land him like this. It's not that easy to do in comp, okay? You're trying to throw him over and you're trying to drive that skull line, and then you bring him over and he's a good player, and when he lands, he brings his feet all up in the air like this. And now you're thinking you're gonna go in class, they show you this fancy move, and then you think that you're gonna throw hooks in. He's a good player. The moment he's coming over, he's got his legs like this, so tight to his body, and you're sitting there trying to put legs in and you can't, right? So we're gonna do it, so you just bring him over. I was like this, I paired my hands, I started driving slow. We land like this, right? So we land, my first reaction is, I don't need this grip anymore. I'm gonna turn my top grip down, and now I'm like this, just holding on to him. My head position is critical. I know right now two things can happen. He can turn into me, or he can try to leave me. So the reason I turn my hand in is because I care about him leaving me right now. My head position is like this. So I don't really care if he wants to try to drive into me. He's got to stay right there. He's got a problem, is that my head is here, stopping the full rotation of his skull. So when he tries to turn in, my head's like this. It limits him. Secondly, I have my hand here. I mean, it's just like, I'm not even doing anything, right? My hand is here. So when he turns in, he's got two impediments, a shelf under here and a head position here. What I care about is him leaving me. And then I got to follow him again. I want to become athletic again and get this leg out. So when I first landed, I was like this, right? I take my bottom leg and I shoot it out and I become athletic again. Now I can start pulling him down. The one thing I don't do is I always tell you about reinforced grips. Remember I told you about, maybe about 10 minutes ago, about using your head in all positions? And one of the things I said, keep your head line, keep your head line. You know, I may use my head on the backside deltoid lines. I may use my chin to grab. I'm using my chin to grab, right? So I'm like this right now. I'm here. On my head and my chin are holding him down. My grip that was like this is now facing me. So I have two things again, just like I had two things before. I have a reinforcement. I don't have one, I have two. So the only goal now is just to take my bottom leg out. So as I take I'm athletic again. Now I can use this hand as a base to come forward. My head position is nice and tight. I shove the backside and I come over the top. And now I'm back on the arm again. Okay, so let's one more time. Right, so you're learning how to follow him. We'll go again on this on Friday, so you start to learn more pairings to it. And then so you start to see how this drill starts to go down. It's like, yeah, I know. Like, and let me just tell you, some people like, they go, what do I got to do this? Dude, what if you really got into a fight, like a real fight, like a real street fight, and the only self-defense you know is ground fighting? You don't think the moment you guys fell down that you shouldn't be playing from your back, period. Like in a real street fight on the concrete, like all those things that you turning and inverting, like, first of all, that's all fake. Like, you're just gonna get your ass kicked if you start doing that stuff. But that stuff is sport, but in a realistic setting, like, this guy's gonna try to get up. And the moment you try to choke him or anything, man, he'll try to stand on you. I've been there, I understand. Like, holy shit, man, this guy's like rising up. I don't even wanna hit him, but I just wanna keep him down. So you better know how to hold that man down and break his hips back down, because we're ground fighters and every man has a shot of knocking you out, whether he's unskilled or skilled. The moment he starts throwing these haymakers, and I don't see anybody in here boxing all the time. So if you're not a trained boxer, you better be careful. And even the untrained boxer can get clipped, and no hands, just hands and a wild swinger, you can get clipped. So when you do this drill, do it with intention and vision. Just don't go through the repetition. Think about yourself in a real self-defense. You're trying to defend your family. You're trying to defend your daughter, your son, like your mother. Like you didn't even want to have this altercation happen. And now, you know why this fight, BJJ is so popular and stuff? Because we end up, you see it in boxing. One moment, one guy gets too much, other guy grabs onto him. And that's how those tussles start. And then we fall down, we hit the ground. And now you better hold that man down, because you're a ground fighter, and that man, whether he's a skilled fighter standing or not, has a shot. So when you do these things, have intention and vision, okay? So really quick again, and knock them down. We're starting from here, right? So I'll give you the same minute and a half, right? We're only gonna get we'll try to get 2 rounds in, but just go slow. Just go slow and vision it, right? I'm like this right now. I was here, I was trying to hold him down. I'm coming around the turn, I'm taking this leg over, and I start sliding. I'm gonna ask my partner, could you start turning? Okay, I'm backstepping. I'm trying to lace my hands through. I made a connection on my hands. I start driving his skull through so he can't get back up. So he lands, and we're like this. I don't need this grip anymore, so I turn my top hand down to hold him. All I want now is I got 2 things happening here. I don't need this guy, okay? So I got my chin and my cupping hand holding him. I gotta become athletic again. So the only way I can do it is I don't turn my hips towards myself. I take my back leg and I shoot it out. So now my kneecaps are facing down. Now I can take my hand out and start driving forward. Now these 2 positions never go anywhere. They stay here. So now I have this basing hand. Now I can move my body. I've never let go of the back of the tricep, right? I've never let go of my head position. I got 2 on this side and 1 on this side. Now I can use this hand to drive forward, catch my knee pinch, and make my alteration. Let's part up and do it.